welcome everyone to the Tuesday, April 20th, 2021 meeting of the Select Board of Middleton, Massachusetts. Without any further ado, let me first just say that we are being recorded live. So anything you see tonight is recorded live and kept on file. So if I can, I will begin with item number 1, which is a reading of the warrant number 2122. Mr. Sheehan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the warrant for this evening on payroll end of things, $715,232. Nothing particularly exciting or unusual in that. On the bills payable side, pretty substantial one that I'll provide the reasoning for that. $4,991,887. Usual payroll deductions in this case, $88,286. Our payment to Tri-Town Council for $7,481. We have purchase of power by Meld for $696,340. And then the biggie at the bottom, the debt service payment. This is the bond anticipation note, the rollover of the note for the acquisition of 105 South Main Street, $3,799,525. We also have in that same department, the Treasurer's Department, $127,517 for health insurance deductions. So, other than that big one for the ban, it's pretty run-of-the-mill stuff. So Sarah Wood has reviewed it and asks the board's endorsement.
Okay, good. Any discussion at all? No? Take a motion to accept the warrant.
Move to accept as presented.
Thank you. In a second.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Hooton, if you could take a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Pentakis.
Yes.
Mr. Cresta.
Yes.
Cassiotis.
Yes.
And myself, yes.
All right. Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Sheehan, if you would continue with, no, I'm sorry. Can I get a motion to accept the minutes for the open session for April 6th, 2021?
So moved.
So moved.
Thank you. In a second.
Second.
We'll take roll call vote. Please, Mr. Hood.
Mr. Pentakis.
Yes.
Mr. Cresta.
Yes.
Mr. Cassiotis.
Yes.
And myself, yes.
All right. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Andy, Town Administrator report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A handful of updates for the public and for the board tonight. Residents may have noticed some yellow trash bags around town in the last couple of weeks. We had the prisoners from the Essex County Jail in to help clean up the roadsides in Middleton. Sheriff Coppinger has been good, as Sheriff Cousins was, about giving us detailed crews from time to time to do roadside cleanup. So we appreciate that. I think those bags have all been picked up by now. They leave them and then Public Works goes and gets them after the fact. So we hope to get them in again later this year. We did get a lot of calls about trash on the roadside over the past year. The prison work crews were curtailed last year in their efforts as a result of COVID. So when they would normally have been out last year, the crews were not being sent out. So we had a lot of stuff collect. So things look a lot better than they did a couple of weeks ago. The Master Development Planning Committee is continuing its work and ramping up its public presentations for the project at 105 South Main Street. The committee will hold a couple of public presentations on May 5th and May 11th. Those will be by Zoom. We've got a number of other meetings scheduled with various stakeholder groups and boards and committees. They received a unanimous vote of support from the Finance Committee last Thursday. They're also talking with the Master Plan Committee and the Planning Board about the recommendations that those two bodies will be providing for town meeting. The committee will be back in front of this board sometime in May. I have it penciled in for the 18th to give a follow-up presentation. They were in back in December 22nd. So they'll be back in again. There's quite a bit of information on the webpage. If you go to middletonma.gov and just scroll down a little bit, you'll find the link to the project page. And there's more information going up on that page every day. So there'll be more info going up certainly in the next 24 hours, if not sooner. We're also wrapping up the videos for each of the 4 buildings and a sort of summary video that we hope will start to go up this week. So, and there's also information on social media. So we've got other meetings scheduled with other groups. I'll be providing a state of the town report to the Board of Trade in May. Some other groups, PTOs, we'll be doing some neighborhood meetings. We'll be reaching out to Brigadoon and other neighborhoods. So any particular groups that would like a direct conversation with the committee, people can reach out to me at andrew.sheehan@middletonma.gov or by phone at 978-777-3617. And we're happy to schedule something. And we know this is crunch time with about 6 weeks to go. It's going to be the primary thing that a lot of us are working on as we ramp up to town meeting and the town election, and hopefully we can get a good turnout and a good positive response. So a brief COVID update. I know that Tim was doing a straw poll before the meeting tonight. We're continuing to see people getting vaccinated in Middleton. I know the numbers in Massachusetts continue to go up, which is a good sign. Our public health professionals continue to advise and recommend people do get vaccinated, encourage that you get vaccinated. It's the best way for us to get to something close to herd immunity. There's a concern nationally that we won't get there because there's so much, there's a fairly significant contingent of people that for one reason or another have expressed their opposition to getting the vaccine. So we encourage it, our public health people encourage it. So we hope that people will follow up and take advantage of it. I extended an invitation recently to the State House delegation, Representative Jones, Representative Cairns, and Senator Tarr, inviting them to come to the board and have a conversation with the board. We haven't seen them in a while. We did see Representative Cairns right after she was sworn in, but we haven't seen Representative Jones and Senator Tarr. So reached out to them, extended an invitation for May or June. Figured it's easier to let them coordinate their schedules amongst themselves and let us know what works for them. We're still waiting on some clear direction on the ARPA money, the American Recovery Plan Act that was passed on on March 9th, I believe it was. I have a webinar later this week and hopefully we'll get some more concrete information. What we do know is that the money to non-entitlement communities like Middleton will be funneled through the state. And so entitlement communities are generally 50,000 or above. So communities like Salem and Brockton and Lawrence and bigger communities like that, they'll get direct payments, but non-entitlement communities, smaller communities under 50,000 will funnel through the states. So I'll update the board as we get better information on that, but that should start to come soon. They're supposed to be distributing funds, I believe, within 60 days of March 9th. So that's coming up. Finally, the trash truck that we've spent a lot of time talking about over the last couple of years, the roll-off truck that Public Works uses to carry the containers from the transfer station to the Covanta facility. We've had a lot of breakdown issues with that, a lot of mechanical issues with that. It is out of out of circulation again. It went down sometime over the weekend, I guess. I don't have specifics on the issue or the extent of the repair that's needed. All I know is that it's a custom fabrication that will be needed in order to get it back running again. So it is a good thing that we have this on the capital plan for fiscal 22, and we can replace this with a vehicle that is more dependent. So we're more dependable. So we appreciate the help that Dwight Miller has provided us in bringing our trash when we're unable to bring it ourselves. So, but we've gotten everything I think we could hope for out of this vehicle. That's what I've got for updates tonight, Mr. Chairman. Happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you, and that's a lot. Thank you very much. Just a couple things quick. I get to talk to a lot of people who are getting their vaccines and getting the vaccinations, and every bit of it is positive from when they see that, just to touch on what you mentioned earlier. And the ARPA funds, I thought I heard somewhere too that some of that money's already being, I guess those would be larger communities. They've already begun to see their money for that, or?
That may be the case. Yeah, that may be the case since they're getting it directly from the federal treasury.
Right, okay.
So it's, there's no middleman there. Whereas with the smaller communities where it has to go through the state and get redistributed that way. I hope there's not a service fee associated with this. That's one of the things I hope to find out in this webinar, if there's any kind of check processing fee, if you will.
Cost.
Yeah. I don't mean to be snarky or disrespectful about it, but I do worry about things like that.
All right. No, well, thank you. And then I guess timing is everything with the landfill truck.
Correct. Yes.
All right. So then,
as it relates to the truck, so I know that that won't be until the annual town meeting, which the dollars wouldn't be available till July 1st. Do we have the ability to spec out one now and be prepared? And obviously when town meeting passes, the dollars aren't available until July 1st, but are we able to place an order?
So we'll be able to place the order on June 6th, right after town meeting. And, the benefit on this truck, there's a several month delivery period on this one. It's far quicker than an ambulance or a piece of fire apparatus because this is a pretty standard routine piece of equipment, and trash bins are trash bins. So we're not customizing it, and so it should come pretty quickly. I think Paul told me it would be available in the fall.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, so at this point, we'd like to welcome at every select board meeting a public comment period where any resident can, in this case, sign in, log into our meeting on Zoom and, express what their thoughts or feelings are in form of a public comment. I don't get used to recognizing people's names there. I don't, Tanya, believe we have anyone tonight for that?
Mr. Chairman, I think these are all people here for particular agenda items, but if not, feel free to unmute yourself.
They can make themselves known. All right. Okay. So then we'll move on to item number 3, which is going to be, we'll get a final presentation on a accessibility study done by the Institute for Human-Centered Design. And I do recognize a couple names there. If I'm not mistaken, it would be Anna Julian. And hi, Anna.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you? And I wanted to say David, but I wasn't sure if I was.
David, yes.
Dave West is here as well.
Dave West, that's what I saw. Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, I'll introduce this if you all don't mind.
If you would.
Thank you, Anna and Dave, for coming. We're going to make this pretty short this evening, but we just wanted to update the board as to where we were. We're finalizing the ADA self-assessment and transition plan. We've gone through a few drafts. We've got some public comments. I've been able to meet with some department heads regarding the items that Anna and David have identified in that. And we have put aside money into the capital improvement plan for this upcoming fiscal year to address some of these issues. We certainly won't be able to address all of them, but we'll at least start to address some of them. And after meeting with the director of the library and the Council on Aging, we've identified a couple of items in particular. We will be, hopefully, assuming everything goes according to plan, working on the restrooms that are in the library and the Council on Aging to make improvements to those to make them more accessible, as well as improved signage all around the town, which will help visually impaired individuals, as well as just be a general improvement for the town for anyone looking for various things. So that's something that will probably touch any number of areas within the town. But I wanted to, give Anna and Dave a moment to speak to this as well, and just our process of wrapping this up.
Very well. Thank you, Tanya.
David, you want to go first?
Okay, but feel free to chime in at any point. I guess there are a couple things we'd like to say. First is, I think we've said it other times, we've really enjoyed the process and appreciated the level of cooperation and assistance that we've received as we have sent out teams to look at parks and municipal buildings and some schools. It really does help when we have people that are so responsive in terms of getting us the information we need so we can plan the survey process to identify the things that you will now be able to go through and prioritize in terms of making everything overall more accessible. I know we're both very encouraged to hear that you've already committed some funds to get going. I think sometimes with a process like this, it can seem really daunting, and the hardest thing really is those initial steps. And we hope that once you start addressing some of the issues, and you've highlighted some that are really outstanding things to fix, in navigation, identification through signage, and making toilet rooms accessible in heavily used buildings, can make a real difference to people with disabilities and to everyone in the town. And we hope that once you get going with this, perhaps the state will be generous with you with the funds that you were just describing, that in cooperation with the Council on Aging and the Disability Committee and any members of the town, that it will gain a momentum of its own, and that you'll take pride in being able to let the town know about the accessibility improvements that you've made. And just more specifically, in speaking with Tanya and others, we think the initial things you identified are an excellent place to start. And as I said, we're very pleased that you're moving straight ahead with doing that. Unfortunately, some towns get to where we are now, and hopefully maybe not as much with what we've done, but we've certainly heard rumors of cities and towns that go to all this initial work and then put the paperwork in a drawer somewhere. And you're obviously not doing that, which is really, really encouraging to hear. And Anna, if there's anything you'd like to add, obviously, go ahead.
The same thing that you were saying, but it's good that the town has allocated funds to accessibility improvement. But another thing that I would like to add is all the things that doesn't have any cost involved, do not have any cost involved. Those things could be done very easily, very soon. Things that is just labor involved. So, yeah, but as David said, we were very pleased with the town, working with the town. We were also very pleased to receive, we sent an ADA questionnaire to analyze the policies in the town, and we received a very, very good response about it. So that's to show the commitment of the town regarding accessibility. Yeah.
And when we understand that particularly some of the bigger budget items, can take some time to get to, but whether it's a big issue or not, or even a small issue, just if you have questions about things, as you start correcting and improving the accessibility, know that you can always contact us if there's something you're confused about or want more information about, or need some kind of contact that we might be able to help with, or that the New England ADA Center might be able to help with. For example, we always mention that they have certain trainings, including things like trainings about effective communication. That can be a really a bit of a tricky issue for even very well-meaning city or town employees to kind of fully understand. Just know that you can call us anytime. We know that we're not completely done with edits and final meetings and so on, but even once that's happened, you can reach out to us. We hear from cities and towns all the time, a year, 2 years, 3 years out, when they're getting to something and they have a question, and we would enjoy being able to help you if it means that you can check something else off the list and improve accessibility.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
And let me just say, as a staff member, thanks so much to Anna and Dave for working with us and everybody at IHCD and putting together a great report. And special thanks to the state for funding that as well. So it's been a good process. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. No, thank you, Tanya, and thank you, Anna and David. You both touched on it. It's important for us to make a response, and for that response to be genuinely, interested in achieving those goals. So we look forward to talking to you guys again, because I'm sure we're going to have questions.
Definitely, yes. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening.
Good night.
Too. All right. If I can, I'll move on to item number 4, which is a review and vote to adopt municipal vulnerability preparedness plan. I'm not sure, Andy, is that Kristen?
So
That's
it
me.
is
Yes.
Kristen. So
There you go.
I apologize for getting the link to the report out so late today. If the board needs additional time, obviously we can do that, but I'll allow Kristen to
Sure.
present the report and discuss that a little bit and answer any questions the board might have.
Okay, thanks, Kristen.
Hey guys. So again, I apologize for the late link. We had some difficulty getting it up on the website. It's a pretty large document. But in 2019, the town was awarded a municipal vulnerability preparedness planning grant to allow the town to become an MVP town and also update the town's hazard mitigation plan. That's something that's typically done by the fire department, but hadn't been done in many years. We were fortunate to get a joint grant to address both issues at once. The process helps the town identify policies, actions, tools that will reduce the dangers to life and property from natural hazards. So basically what we did is we convened a stakeholder meeting, a day-long summit of various stakeholders in town, local groups, regional groups, some state reps. And we worked in groups to identify hazards and prioritize the town's vulnerabilities. So that was a process that was facilitated by Weston and Sampson. And once we convened our meeting, they assembled all the information to us and put together a report. And generally, the things that the town focused on were, culvert and roadway and bridge flooding issues, redundancy and emergency communications, upgrading systems and equipment at schools and emergency shelters, that kind of thing. So the final component for this is for the selectmen to accept the plan, and that will make us eligible for grants from the state, grants from MEMA, and grants from FEMA. It's already been accepted by the state, and you guys signing it off is kind of the final step for us. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Are those grants competitive grants, or just submit the application and get the money?
They're competitive grants. And some of them are for infrastructure work, and we can propose various things. Some of them are for the things that the fire department needs. They get a lot of MEMA and FEMA grants, and it's for those kind of things as well.
Fire station included?
Perhaps some of the systems at the fire station. That is something we actually discussed at the conference.
All right. And this is.
It's a pretty dense document. There's
Yeah.
a lot of information in there.
Okay. I don't know if we, do we have time to look at this further, or is that,
Yeah, we're not in a rush. It needs to be done. I'd like to get it done by the end of December so that we're kind of, after that, we're coming up on a deadline. So.
all right. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's fair if you give us a chance to look this over some more and
Absolutely.
We can make a determination then.
Sure. And I'm happy to answer any questions. You can email me, call me, or I can come back to the next meeting. Whatever works for you guys.
Mr. Chairman, would you like to
Yeah.
start on the next meeting or push it further out?
Yeah, the next meeting, I think, would be time enough to
Okay.
have a look. Thank you. Thank you, Kristen.
Pleasure.
All right, then with that, if I can, I'll move on to item number 5, which is a request by Man and Man on behalf of Northeast River Estates to assign a street name to the proposed subdivision on 123 River Street. And Ms. Mann, are you?
Good evening,
Let's
Jill
take
Mann.
it. Thank you. Good evening.
How are you?
Good.
The planning board has started to request that applicants come before the Board of Selectmen during the public hearing process for a subdivision approval. We're in the process of applying for a subdivision approval for the property at 123 River Street. That's the tennis center off of River Street. It's going to be a 14-lot residential subdivision, conventional. And so we are now looking for a name to be able to put on the plans as part of the process. I'm not sure if I think there was a list, and from Ms. O'Leary, I had been told that there was possibly some preference for a couple of names. So I don't know if that list was provided to the board.
I do not know.
Okay.
No,
There had historically.
Yeah.
Yeah, historically, this is one of the times when we really miss having Nancy Jones on the board. She was kind of the de facto keeper of the list. At some point, there was a focus on veterans. There's been some exceptions where there's been some names that have been done to recognize folks that had possibly owned the property or had historically been in that neighborhood. That is being devised. I know the last naming we did, which is for the development that's going behind Angelica's, we were able to fulfill a request by a resident for their 2 brothers that were
Oh, I remember that.
World War II and
Mhm.
Korean War veterans, respectively. So I don't remember if there were any additional requests before the board historically, but I know at some point in the past, there was a list that I remember early on when I was on the board that was being discussed, but I don't remember if we have one recently.
Oh, I know we have a list. The Board of Selectmen does keep one. But I don't know where that list is, and I don't have a copy of it, but historically I have been given that to request it. And I truly did think, I had heard that Katrina had talked to, it might have been Pike. I can't recall.
Correct. Yes.
I think it was Pike.
Yeah, and I apologize that I was unable to locate the list for the board. And Brian, maybe you remember, I know that we had been approached by the Fucarills, and I don't know if is that the sister of Roel?
Yes, that was the one that we had named for the roadway that is going into the new 55 and over development. That was done 6, 8, 9 months ago. That was the last time we've had a naming before us, other than actually the one on River Street that we did a couple of weeks ago. The other one on River Street.
Lima, right? Right, Mr. Cresta, Lima. Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have that list. I don't know where it is or active, but I remember it was, historic people in town and.
All right. Well, then if if I could, Jill, then in lieu of that, then maybe you would allow us to take a look at that list and make sure that we make the.
I'm in no
Right.
rush. I figured,
Okay.
you know what, they asked me to request it.
Yeah,
I
no,
submitted it. Yeah, it's not an issue at all. You know, if we can
Very
even
good.
just postpone it to your next meeting, I'm not going to get an approval in the next month, Mr. Cassiotis, so that is fine.
That would be,
So-
then that's great. If you don't have anything already, that would be great. Then I respect you for agreeing to that and allow us to move this on to the next meeting as well.
If I could ask, obviously, we're not the planning board,
Sorry.
but, so it's going to be a 14 lot development.
Yes.
Should planning board grant the approval you want, when is that expected to occur? And am I correct? Is that in the district? Is that in the area where we extended the water, Andy?
Not quite. It's
No.
about
No.
500 feet away. We have to, in order to do the connection, we have to actually go into River Street and expand it and come down and improve the line within the right of way about 500 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is even, I mean, just so the board knows, it's important to know that it will be an expansion of the town's infrastructure. There'll be an additional hydrant placed on River Street. And as I said, 500 feet. I think there's maybe, I'm going to guess right now, 2 or 3 residential homeowners that would be benefited by the possibility of a lateral.
Okay, those on River Street. Okay.
Yeah.
Jill, is this going into a cul-de-sac or just one road?
Pardon? I'm sorry.
Is this going to be going into like a circular cul-de-sac? Is it just one road?
Oh yeah, and I had submitted a copy of the plan. It's
Yeah, I
about
can see that.
Yeah, it's just a single cul-de-sac, Mr. Hooton. It goes all the way behind. It goes past where the do you want me to share my screen and show you?
No, I have it here.
Okay.
I wasn't positive whether it was one road or 2 roads.
Yeah, it's just one single road. Yep.
Okay.
One single road.
Okay. All right.
So we'll find that list, Mr. Chairman, and
Would you
and,
please? Thank you.
and share that with the board.
Okay.
And I apologize again for not. Being
Oh, it's
able
not,
to get that up.
it's not a problem. I mean, it's a 5-minute meeting and I appreciate everyone's time tonight and we'll
Right.
just reconvene at your next meeting and we'll have a name.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Good night.
All right. Item number 6 is now going to be a vote to postpone the annual town meeting to June 5th, 2021, and the annual town election to June 12th, as we've all discussed for 2021, in accordance with Chapter 5 of the Acts of 2021. Other discussion of annual town meeting and town election if needed. So I guess we continue to include this until we inch closer to the date.
Yeah, so the vote that's required tonight is just a procedural vote to postpone the town meeting and the election from the dates that are prescribed in the bylaws. We did this last year. We weren't really thinking about it this year because we were, we've been talking about a delayed town meeting and town election for so long, and then weren't really thinking so much about the process. So this is just to kind of close the loop on what we're planning. So it would be simply a vote to postpone the town meeting until June 5th and the town election until June 12th.
Mr.
And
Chairman,
would that include the special that we have slated for the top of that? I mean, should I?
Yeah. So
Wanna
yeah,
pick
I'm
that?
glad you brought that up. So I talked to the moderator today. She'll be issuing. She needs to issue 2 more continuances of that special town meeting that was originally scheduled for January 28th. And she'll do another one in the next week or 2.
Okay.
And then she'll do one more after that will go to June 5th. So the special will be rolled into the annual. It's in the same
Annual.
one.
Understood. And both actions are separate. I understand.
Correct.
Brian, I'm sorry. Were you gonna?
I was going to say, Andy, do we have we confirmed? Are we going to have a tent at that location?
Yes,
Okay, which means it's not going to rain.
correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right, I would make a motion to postpone the annual town meeting to June 5th and the annual town election to June 12th.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Tim, if you would, for the roll call vote, please.
Mr. Protakis,
I'm gonna abstain since I'm on the ballot for this body and this body is making the decision, so I abstain.
Okay.
Understood, Costa. Thank
Brian, Costa,
Yes.
Mr. Cassiotis,
you. Yes.
and myself, yes.
All right.
Three
And,
with one abstention.
three with one abstain. Thank you very much. Motion carries unanimously. And we will accept that that's done and await further actions as we get closer. Item number 7 is going to be a vote to renew 2 seasonal all restaurant licenses, common victualler licenses, and 2 entertainment licenses for SD Management Group LLC at the Members Lounge Halfway House Snack Bar at 810 Village Road. Ronald Rice, manager. We're talking about the golf course in Finion over at the old Ferncroft property. Is Ronald here with us tonight, or no? I don't see.
These are sort of ministerial
Okay.
things that we do every year. Usually we do them as part of our, or sometimes we do them as part of our license renewals in the winter. Often they come up earlier in the spring, but with COVID, things are a little bit delayed.
No, this is usually the sign that warmer weather is coming. Usually this is our annual spring event. So, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the 2 seasonal all alcohol, common victular, and entertainment licenses for SD Management Group LLC at the Members Lounge and Halfway House located at 8-10 Village Road with Ronald Rice as manager.
Second,
A motion and a second. Then if I could, Tim, with a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Prentakis,
Yes.
Mr. Crespin,
Yes.
Mr. Cassiotis,
Yes.
and myself, yes.
All right. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you for that. And if we don't have any other discussion or new business from anyone?
I just wanted to raise one issue this, for a subsequent, maybe at the next, meeting. I think we should begin, discussing how to go back to, in-person, meetings.
Yeah.
There are, some committees that are more suitable to doing that earlier than others, and some that can meet in the non-school environment, before school is out. So I think it's worth at least beginning that discussion at the next meeting.
No,
Agree completely.
Yeah, totally. Thank you for bringing that up. So maybe, Andy, we can think about that and maybe talk about, I guess you're talking about maybe library usage or something like that, cost or whatever it might take.
I mean, I'll give you an example. We have the Municipal Property Tax Relief Committee that basically all of its discussion is in executive session. But we met recently at the senior center. We had to post a Zoom meeting to start the meeting with a Zoom public meeting,
Right.
even though we were all in the same room.
Right.
And then go into executive, session. And then, turned off Zoom and talked to that. And that committee can meet again and have a, public meeting
Sure.
at the senior center and not have to go through the sort of Zoom, finagling, because the minute we, convene, the first thing that happens is move to executive session. So
right, understood. Very good. And that's probably not the only one. So sorry, Tim.
Yeah, I was going to say. So I agree with that, and I'd also add at maybe the next meeting if we could start to get a little bit of an update and discussion about as a town and our operations as we begin to move to more full and open activities. What does that look like at our Council on Aging Senior Center? What does that look like at our library? What does that look like at some of our other facilities? I was going to say reopening, but we're not closed, but what's that starting to look like as, we're probably about, today in Massachusetts, we're about 2.1 million individuals that have been vaccinated. We're about 3 to 4 to 5 weeks away to being almost 3 million vaccinated, and probably another 3 to 4 weeks to having close to 2/3 of our population being vaccinated. So just wondering if we can also start to talk about what it looks like for maybe it's not the right term, the new reopening of our facilities.
Or we can do that. And that's what we've been, for want of a better word, we've just been just referring to it as the reopening. So we can certainly provide an update on where that all stands.
Great, thanks.
Right, thank you.
Actually, to that
Yep.
point, particularly with respect to the meetings, it would be, I think, helpful to have Paul Paliselli and Adam Stone, both or one of them, participating in that conversation, so we have a better sense of the technology and how that will all play into this when we talk about it at the next meeting. When you have that hybrid, we're going to have to start hybrid. Sort of the board and staff in person, but a Zoom component for the public. So talk through how all of that will work.
All right. Great. Thank you. All right. Well, now, any other discussion? I guess we can get a motion to adjourn.
We adjourn.
Thank you very much, Brian. All right. Thank you, everyone. And we'll see you at our next meeting, which is our next two meetings. Our next meeting is May 4th and the next meeting, May 18th, regular select meetings. Thank you very much, everybody.